Hey, welcome. If you've been watching the last few uploads I've done, you've noticed I've been using an envelope filter, the Keeley Neutrino Auto Wah. This is going to be more of a review of the pedal, or at least my thoughts on it. And I'm also going to be making some comparative remarks with this traditional Dunlop Cry Baby wah. I'm going to show some clips, talk a little bit about the pedal and my experience with it, and at the end I'll give my opinion both on this pedal as sort of a review and also some comparisons of using an auto wah pedal versus a wah wah pedal. I hope you'll watch. I saw Eric Clapton the other night when he came to Atlanta. Just a great show. So great to see him. But among the many good things about his playing that night, he made such excellent use of a wah wah pedal. And of course, he's pretty associated with the wah wah pedal going back to his days with Cream. Just a great artist and a great person. You know, he's done so many good things for music and people. I can't say enough good things about Eric Clapton. He was so good. And I've always kind of liked the wah wah pedal. Here's the thing, though; it's sort of a pain to use. It's big, it's clunky. So I was always kind of interested in these little things called envelope filters, which I think came out in the late '60s, early '70s. You can check the history out, and it's sometimes known as an auto wah. And you know, the auto wah, instead of responding to your foot, it responds to the intensity of your picking on the strings. So you can use an auto wah. They were pretty popular in soul music. That's one place you actually saw them, and I love that old soul music because I was raised around a lot of Motown. Real kind of beautiful soul music, and you also heard it a lot kind of used as a wah. So I was always interested, can you use this thing like a wah? Well, I picked up this little pedal for $100 used, and I've got a Keeley Dark Side pedal, and I've got a big ambient guitar pedal board, which also has like a Keeley compressor and the Keeley Cavern. So I've always, they're a good company. That Keeley Dark Side I use on practically every video that you've seen me do for the last year where I'm playing guitar. It's got a Keeley, just about, not quite all of them, but just about, has that Keeley Dark Side, which has delay and fuzz. But I picked up this. It's an envelope filter. It was a little mysterious to me. So I was interested to try it, so I've been messing around with it on the last few clips. like I said, I didn't really mess with the settings much, and I'm not inclined to. Several of the settings on this I did not like. So I guess any pedal would do that some. You know, you hit some of these extreme ranges, but I found one I did like, and I'm just going to leave it on that. So there were several sounds I thought were unpleasant, or either that or not that usable. But one of the well, here's the pedal. It's kind of cool looking. It's not one of those really fancy pedals in terms of how it looks with some original drawing or something on it. Some of those pedals are, you know, but this is it. It's not much to it. It's got, you know, the instrument cable, the output to the amp. I use this pedal with fuzz and with the Keeley dark side, which has fuzz on it. And I do think it's often recommended that you run a wah first into fuzz. So, and that goes to the amp. It's got, I'm gonna have to admit, it's got a lot of controls. If you want to see people that really know all the nuances of this pedal, you can maybe just quit watching now. But as I do, I wanted to find kind of a good wah-wah sound, and this is the setting I've been using, and I thought it worked pretty well. And when I would click on my fuzz, I would get like a rock wah-wah sound. When I clicked off the fuzz, I would get more of a kind of that soul music type fuzz, and I didn't mess with it too much. This is the gain. I think that's how much wah signal you're pushing into the rest of the chain. So as I usually do, I set it around 12 o'clock. I'm not too good with pedals, and I found that, you know, around 12 o'clock is fine. This sets, you can either filter out the lows, I don't know, both, or high. I don't know. I don't want to say the wrong thing. I messed around with it, though, and I couldn't get a sound I liked on low. Not really. So I just set it on high, and I got a good sound. And then peak, I think, is sort of like a threshold for when the wah kicks in, or how much it puts into the signal. And this is like sort of a switch to go, you know, to emphasize highs or lows. And again, I went with high. And this was the sound I used on everything. I could change the sound by setting my amp differently, or the fuzz pedal and the delay. But I got that sound. I thought it was a good sound, and I'm not inclined to mess with it. So that's been my approach to pedals. I usually play with the knobs like it's a little toy, and when I find a good, you know, and I just find sounds I like. If it's too hard to find, you know what, everybody, if it's too hard to find a sound you like on a pedal, to me that's not a good pedal. Even if there'd be a great sound in there, but pedals should sound pretty good right away. I mean, if you have to read a manual to make it sound halfway decent, then you've got the wrong pedal. So, but here it is. Bought it used for $100. Now, I will say that this responds to your picking. So if you're picking loud, you get more of a wah, and so on. If you pick not so intense, if you pick lighter on the strings, you get less of a wah. And sometimes that doesn't work as well as a foot pedal, because a foot pedal, you play however you want, and then your foot adds the wah. On this, how you're playing affects the tone, and that is kind of a difference. So, like I said, I played this Cisco Kid Jam with this thing, and I thought it sounded just like a wah-wah pedal. I don't know if it was the beat or whatever. I did a couple others I thought sounded good. But I did try White Room by Cream. I tried that because I'd done White Room with this thing, and I thought it sounded really good. But then I tried White Room with this, and I couldn't get it to sound right. There was something about the beat, or trying to play more or less that Clapton solo, and I couldn't get it to sound quite right. And I'm pretty sure it's because the wah effect of the solo wasn't really syncing up with whatever this thing was doing. Whereas if I were using my foot, it would have been fine. Another thing about this is that I added it on this. I did that tribute to Don Felder, which I think is that old Timothy B. Schmidt song. I can't tell you why, but anyway, it was a really nice backing track. I just kind of messed around on it. But I was playing. I had a nice tone out of my Keeley Dark Side and my amp, and I just plugged this in, and you couldn't really tell it was a wah. It didn't really add a wah sound, but it did add kind of a harmonic richness and a tonal richness, I thought, that really gave the guitar a kind of haunting sound. So on that particular track, I think you hear this used in a complementary way that's not really, you don't really notice it as any kind of a wah effect or envelope filter, but it did add, I thought, more subtle add. But I don't know what I was doing different. See, that's the thing. I was just playing how I played, and I was getting a sound. The sound wasn't coming out as a wah-wah type sound, and I think maybe that's how I was playing. I felt like playing a certain way, and however I was playing wasn't activating this thing as a wah, but it did add kind of tonal richness, I thought. So another cool thing about it just put it in your signal, and you'll get kind of a really nice rich sustain. I think it added to the sustain and the kind of warmth and the charm of the tone. I guess where the rubber meets the road is using this thing as a wah-wah pedal, because I like wah-wah, like Cream and Hendrix, and Robin Trower, I think used something like a wah-wah and some stuff, and all those late '60s guitar players that use wah-wah, especially Cream and Hendrix. My final thoughts kind of have to do with this auto wah envelope filter versus a traditional Dunlop Cry Baby. And I guess the question I was interested in asking, and maybe some of you are, is can you use an auto wah pedal like a wah-wah pedal? My answer is almost. I thought it was pretty close. It was close enough for me, but I'm not really, a wah-wah pedal snob, and I don't use wah-wah pedal that much. I think it was kind of limited. I noticed when I played that White Room, I didn't even put a clip on here because I didn't think it sounded good, whereas this thing sounded great on that. But I think this thing sometimes really sounded like a wah-wah pedal to me. kind of more subtle wah-wah pedal. I don't think and it's kind of harder to control the wah. So sometimes you'll be playing and you'll get this great wah-wah sound. Then maybe another time you don't notice it as much. It's probably, it goes to your picking hand, but on the other hand, it sort of just seems like it comes in and out of its own free will, which is kind of cool. But you know, you have more control with this, or I feel like you do. Maybe that's just because I wasn't playing it enough. But here's the other thing about this. This is a pain in the butt. This is a pain in the butt. It's a big, heavy black box. I don't want to put it on a pedal board. This is the traditional wah. Now, maybe they have some better ones. There's no LED light on this thing. So whenever I want to play it, I'm always messing around here trying to, you know, they say tap your foot down to activate the wah. I tap my foot down, no wah. You know, it's probably my fault, but then again, I don't know. Why does it have to be so freaking complicated? I tapped my foot down, I didn't get a wah, you know? So I'll mess around with it here for a while, and then it just sort of, it's like Fonzie. You just kick it a couple times and it starts to work, but it's a pain. There's no lights on it, so or anything. It's hard to tell. Now, maybe this is just the basic Dunlop Cry Baby. It's a classic. They have some fancier ones that maybe don't have the problems I'm describing. This is actually old school wah. This works great, but that's it's too big really to fit on a pedal board, so I wouldn't really want to take this anywhere. I wouldn't really want it on a pedal board. I guess maybe I'm old and lazy or something. I don't want to mess with it. It's got a big jack, and this the jack seems a little, for the input, seems a little proprietary. Sounds great though, but it's more of a pain. And sometimes, like, I'll tap my foot down and it's not activated correctly or something, and I hate that. So maybe I'm not using it right. But on the other hand, when I put my foot down, I want it to work, and sometimes it will, and maybe if I didn't do it right, it won't. Whereas this thing, you push this button, the blue light comes on, and you've got a pedal. And I actually think that makes this worth it. And some of the limitations where it maybe isn't quite as full in the range of wah-wah sounds that you're going to get as a traditional wah that you can play with your foot. I think it is made up for the fact that you could put this on a pedal board. Sounds pretty damn good. And yeah, you can get some wah-wah sounds out of this thing. And I didn't really mess with the settings too much. Like I said, I found a setting I thought sounded like good wah-wah pedal. Sounded good to me. And I don't use it that much, so I was happy, very happy with the sounds I was getting. Sometimes I would try to make it sound like a wah-wah pedal, and it didn't seem to be cooperating with me. And this one was uncooperative in another way. Once I got it working, it was great, but sometimes I'd turn it on and mess with it for 10 minutes just to try to get it to run the wah-wah effect, you know. So, plus it's a beast. It takes a ton of, power. So I do recommend this. I recommend an auto wah as opposed to a wah, really, unless you don't mind having one of these around, and they have some fancier ones. But if you just want kind of a nice little pedal to put on your pedal board that'll give you some semblance of a good wah sound, and plus you get that kind of envelope filter sound, which is good for ensemble playing. All wah-wah isn't just for like crazy acid rock psychedelic stuff. That's fun. I love it too. But there's some very nice stuff you can do with the wah. And like I said on that Don Felder clip that I played, I'm using this, and I don't really think you notice it, but I think it added to the tone. The tone sounded really nice, and it just kind of was mixing into what I was playing somehow. It didn't really change the sound it didn't like really create fluctuations or anything in the sound that was that noticeable, but I think it added a richness and a kind of a harmonic quality and complexity to the sound from the tone kind of going in and out as I was playing. And it was much more subtle, but I thought it sounded excellent. So I do recommend this, and I would recommend this over a big wah-wah pedal, unless you've got roadies and a big old pedal board and you don't mind messing with it, because this thing's heavy, and it's a pain, and you've got to work it with your foot, and all those things are a pain in the neck. Thanks. God bless.